Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Starry Scoop Live. My name is Caitlin Glett, and before we begin today's episode, I'd just like to give special thanks to Westfield Community Programming, Westfield Technical Academy, Peter Cowles, Brady, LePage, and of course my guest today, Becca Doiron. How are you doing?
Hello, Caitlin. I'm fantastic. I'm a big fan of the podcast, so it is an absolute honor to be on today.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to come here.
Absolutely.
So you work at the Springfield Science Museum as a planetarium coordinator.
I do.
So you are a fellow astronomy enthusiast. I mean, every night, if it's clear, of course,
it's been
I'll try
cloudy.
to get out. But yeah, I mean, I know I mentioned this on my last episode, but I'm on the tennis team, and every practice, every match, could it be postponed? Could it be canceled?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's either rainy, windy, or cloudy. And then that other day we had snow. April.
We did.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So you've been into astronomy for a bit now, and even physics, I heard. So where did you get your beginning? Where did it all kick off?
Totally. So I credit 3 different kind of main events in my life to have gotten me to this point of being planetarium coordinator. The first is a little goofy, is that when I was a kid, me and my dad would always watch this sci-fi show called Stargate SG-1. An absolute incredible show. When anyone asks me, do you love Star Wars, Star Trek, I say no. Stargate. It's a low sci-fi, meaning it's based in our reality about this portal that can bring you to all these other worlds. And one of the main characters is an astrophysicist, Dr. Samantha Carter. She is incredible, still an inspiration to this day. And it's so cool looking back and seeing how much of the science, has some meaning while being interspersed with alien shenanigans and spaceships. So that was definitely the first thing that I was like, ooh, space is cool. And then when I was 13, me and my family went on a cruise, but we were really afraid of missing our boat. So we went down a day early to Cape Canaveral and visited Kennedy Space Center, which is just, I could not highly recommend it to anyone enough that is taking a cruise out of Cape Canaveral to go a day early, spend a day at Kennedy Space Center. And that just, exploded my passion for space. I got to see a real-life Saturn V rocket, one of the rockets that took us to the moon, of course, one that wasn't actually used. It was one of the ones left defunct, and the Smithsonian had found it and was like, you can't just leave this here to rot. And then they built up this incredible museum around it. At the time I went, the space shuttle wasn't on display yet because they had just been recently decommissioned 2 years earlier, but now they have a space shuttle, so couldn't highly recommend it enough. I learned so much. I listened to that Kennedy speech, we choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, so many times that I nailed it and had it for my ringtone for a while. So that trip meant a whole lot to me. And then last but not least, the third thing, I would be remiss if I did not mention my high school physics class with Mr. Chukrin. He absolutely changed everything for me. He was the reason I went into physics. He is the greatest teacher I've ever had. I went on to have to do a degree in physics at UMass Amherst, which was great. None of those teachers could even hold a candle in comparison to Mr. Chukrin. He was the whole world. I still steal so many of his examples to this day. I still think about physics in the way that specifically he taught. And very briefly for a year, I was a high school physics teacher, and I stole everything from him. He was just so spectacular that, without him, I don't know if I even would have gone into physics. So big shout out to him. And then the rest was kind of history. I went to UMass Amherst for physics, absolutely adored it. A little got interrupted, didn't get as many cool opportunities because it was during the pandemic, but who didn't get interrupted during that time? And then I ended up at the Springfield Museum, starting in the Spark Lab there, an incredible hands-on space that is headquartered in the Smithsonian, all around invention, and then eventually got moved into the planetarium, which is just the biggest honor and treat to work in the planetarium there.
Yeah, I definitely relate to you. As a kid, I watched Stargate SG-1.
Oh, yeah.
The original, of course. I mean, imagine little 10-year-old me watching it. It was an experience, but I really enjoyed it. And it really it really did spark my interest. Now, I wasn't such a Stargate fan as I was a Star Trek fan. Not a fan of Star Wars at all.
I've
But
never
Star
seen
Trek.
it. I feel like a fake space fan.
Yeah, they're okay. They're not too scientifically accurate, but I mean, is that the appeal of it?
They really put the fi in sci-fi.
Oh, they do. And I did have the opportunity to go to Cape Canaveral a few years ago with my family, and it's just incredible.
It's spectacular. Did you get to see at all the rocket assembly building or the any of the launch pads? Because I know I got to see the assembly building, and there they have like the biggest doors in the world, like the biggest painted American flag, I believe, and it's just a monumental and awesome place.
We got to go down for the launch of Artemis, which you see on your
Oh
screen
my
right now.
God.
Yeah, so for the viewers at home, that was Pete, the point person here at the recording studio, and this is, I believe, his video.
The other resident space geek at Channel 15.
I am so jealous.
We were at the press site for that. We had credentials for it, and it was at 2 o'clock in the morning, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to be a bit of a all hazards type of person to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But it vibrated my chest.
Oh, I've heard so many stories about getting to see rocket launches in person. You're miles and miles away, but like it is like a crazy earthquake-esque feeling, and I would give anything. I will see something launch someday, I swear.
Yeah, I haven't seen a launch yet, but soon in the future, I plan to.
There's a couple coming up at Wallops Island, I think, in the next couple of months.
Maybe we'll have to.
That's only an 8-hour drive to Virginia.
Only 8 hours.
Only 8 hours.
Well, it's
Might as well go right now.
22 to Florida.
I know.
True. But you mentioned working at the Springfield Science Museum,
Yes.
and working in the Seymour Planetarium. And I know a little bit about the Star Bowl that the Seymour Planetarium holds. So do you want to tell me a little bit about that and the programs that you do there?
Absolutely. So for any listeners, Caitlin did work in the planetarium a little bit last summer before I had joined the planetarium team. I heard nothing but great things about her programs, but the Star Ball is simply our pride and joy in the Science Museum. It is not technically a one-of-a-kind, but practically a one-of-a-kind type of artifact, but living artifact. It was made back in the 1930s when there was only a couple of planetariums in all of America. And there was a man who worked at the museum named Frank Corcus, and he was an amateur astronomer. He loved astronomy. And there had been a space left in the museum for a planetarium to eventually go. And he was like, please let us put in a planetarium. And the Springfield Museum simply didn't have the funds. And because at the time, the primary planetarium company, and still one of the leaders in the field, was the German Zeiss company. Now, understandably, in the 1930s, it would be really hard and expensive to ship a giant planetarium projector all the way from Germany. So Frank said, fine. I'll do it myself. He drew up the plans of how to make a planetarium projector, and he brought it again to the board, and they said, this is so great, we still don't quite have the funds. Luckily, that is where the Seymour family came around and were able to donate the money specifically for the construction of the planetarium, hence Seymour Planetarium. And it was a massive team effort. I know that different trade schools from all around Springfield and Chicopee and neighboring areas chipped into different portions of building the Star Ball. And I believe it debuted in 1937, so it's getting closer to its 100th birthday, and we still have it in operation to this day. It only projects the stars, but for the technology of the time where they have these metal plates that they have to punch and drill holes into for the star maps for the light to then shine out from this absolutely massive light bulb. It's 500 watts, the size of my head almost. It's incredible. We have a burnt out one that we show the field trip groups, which is a delight. But it's still incredibly accurate given its age, and it is now the oldest still operating American-made planetarium projector in the world. There were a couple of planetarium projectors built in America before, but they're now either defunct or in closets somewhere or on display. But our Star Ball we still use whenever we like. It is used most times we do one of our programs, depending on the presenter. But any presenter would be happy to turn it on and show it off. It is such a treat to be able to have our Corcus Star Ball.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going to the Springfield Science Museum as a kid, the summer leading up just before kindergarten. And I have 2 younger sisters, and every single day my mom would take us to the museum, and we'd run up to the planetarium.
Oh, yeah.
And Jack Magus would be giving the presentations. And I kid you not, I had all the lines memorized.
Oh, yeah.
Word for word. There was a kid program with little Jessie flying up to the moon, maybe seeing some aliens and learning about the stars.
Yep.
Oh, it was so interactive with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Singing along songs. I still know them to this day. And Jack Magus just gave such a wonderful presentation that it stuck with me. And from there, we learned about the Springfield Stars Club, an amateur astronomy club based at the museum. They work closely with the museum in Springfield. And I credit that with my beginning of astronomy. So it's definitely a key element that, I mean, more people should visit more often.
Oh, yeah. It is an absolute treat to visit. And Jack Magus is still a presenter to this day. And he is just so charismatic. And he just gets so much joy anytime Caitlin's around. He's like, I remember when she was this tall coming into the planetarium. And now look at her. She's working some summers in the planetarium. She's going to go so far and do such great things, including your newsletter and podcast.
Oh. Yeah, so when can the public visit the Seymour Planetarium?
We have so many times and opportunities that you can see. Normally during the week, during the school year, I like to say, we have shows on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Fridays, it's at 2 and 3 o'clock. Saturday and Sunday at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. The shows change a little bit during each season on what we're showing, so it's always best to check our website. But almost always the 3 p.m. show is Your Night Sky Live, which is our live presented show with the incredible presenters at the museum, including our wonderful Jack. And the other shows are full dome movie projections. As I mentioned, back in the 1930s, we couldn't afford Zeiss projectors, but just a couple years ago, before my time, unfortunately, but I know a fair bit about it, we were able to completely renovate the planetarium, adding 2 brand new full dome projectors, kind of like movie projectors in, which has increased our capability a whole bunch, which is amazing. But so those are our regular during the week times, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. During the summer, so mostly July and August, any day the museum is open, we have planetarium shows, usually at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. And then we also have other special events, like during the school year, again, mostly for viewing purposes. We have Stars Over Springfield, which is an awesome event where you get to have a planetarium show, a beginner level astronomy talk. I know some of the topics this year were about the force of gravity, the difference between comets, meteorites, all the small stuff in the solar system, about the motion of the universe, about stars. So really beginner friendly for ages 8 and up. And that also includes, weather pending, access to our observatory to check out some awesome objects. Like this year we looked a lot at Jupiter and the 4 Galilean moons, which was just absolutely spectacular. Occasionally, depending on the alignment, we've been able to see Saturn, and then when in doubt, of course, looking at the moon. So that's Stars Over Springfield. We have one more this school year in May. The only reason we don't do them during the summer is because the sun sets too late and we can't really do much observing. So those will start back up either in September and October. And then there's also the Stars Club you mentioned. We love the Stars Club. They are not technically officially part of the museum, but they are friends of the museum and meet at the museum. We are both members, of course. And usually meetings are the 4th Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. in Tolman Auditorium, again, at the museum. And once in a while, it changes around in like December time, around the holidays. But that is a treat because we have had some awesome speakers. My favorite talk I've seen so far was about this really specific kind of black holes that a grad student was studying. And I just learned so much. And of course, I have a background in physics, but the way this presenter, I'm I wish I wasn't blanking on their name currently, was able to explain the absolutely complex idea of this really hyper-specific kind of black holes they were studying for, looking for, trying to get to the bottom of. They were able to explain it in such an approachable way that even people without a background in physics were really able to digest it, and it was just so fantastic. Stars Club is more recommended for ages 12 and up just because it gets a little bit more complex. And if I didn't mention, Stars Over Springfield we usually recommend for 8 and up. And that's again mostly because it's usually later at night, starts at 7:30, goes to 9:30 for observing purposes. So little ones often have to go to bed. But yeah, and then last but not least, I see you would like to talk about Astronomy Day.
I would, yeah. It's always a key event throughout the year, and in the past, I participate in sports, so it's always difficult to make it out there. But this year, I plan to attend.
Exciting!
And I think the great thing about Astronomy Day is it serves as connection from the public to astronomy enthusiasts, whether it's professionals or just amateur astronomers. And I think Stars Over Springfield and the Stars Club does a great job of doing that. But Astronomy Day is an entire day dedicated to that sole purpose. And I'm looking forward to it. It's May 3rd for anyone who's watching at the museum.
Yeah, we have so many cool, fun things in store. First off, planetarium shows that day are all free, and we have some special planetarium shows that we really only do on Astronomy Day, where I believe we often can kind of land on Mars, act like our own rover, get a boots-on-the-ground view, and also some just the general amazing planetarium shows, but all for free. And then throughout the museum, we often have tables of Stars Club members doing all sorts of amazing things. Again, the wonderful Jack Magus usually brings his meteorite collection. And if you've ever wanted to know anything about meteorite, this is the day to come and talk to Jack because he knows. He's a walking encyclopedia of the things.
Yes.
It is fantastic. I learn something new about meteorites every single time I talk to Jack, and it's just fantastic. But there's also hands-on activities about light reflection and refraction, and all sorts of amazing hands-on opportunities. I know the Spark Lab also often gauges their activities more to space, and weather pending, always. There is activities out on our beautiful quad, including telescopes set up for observing the sun with different types of filters, different kinds of lenses, which is a treat. And I'm not sure which we have planned this year, but we usually either do observatory tours or we have a live stream of the observatory looking at the sun to really get a good view of any of the sunspots that are currently out. Of course, with all of astronomy, weather pending with all the observing activities, but it's such a treat because there's such a buzz in the air about love of astronomy. It's like any other day at the museum. You can go and visit our other 4, but there's definitely something really special about it. You see all sorts of people walking around, loving space, talking about space and space gear, and it is just beyond cool.
Yeah, I just love Astronomy Day. And there's 2 of them throughout the year, too. So twice a year, once in the springtime and once in the fall. And I know that the Westfield High School Space and Astronomy Club hopes to attend. And we do have a few telescopes that we'll send up on the quad, weather dependent. And we have white light filters and H-alpha filters. So they provide very different views of the sun, but they're both very, very cool. So I highly recommend going to that event. And I'm sure this happens every year, and other organizations around here do celebrate that. So
Yeah, absolutely. We have our Astronomy Day every year. It is usually the first-ish weekend in May. It's not a specific set date, but it is just an amazing treat to bring space lovers together and really get to have even more community aspect to astronomy.
Yeah, and I look forward to it. And with that, is that everything?
I believe so. We covered a lot in a little amount of time.
We did. So everyone, thank you for watching. I'm actually pre-recording this episode. I'm going away for April break out of the country, and I just thank you again for being here.
Absolutely, it is such an honor.
But I'm going on a cruise, like Becca, she mentioned going on a cruise once, and I can't wait for it. And I'm actually going to request the captain to dim all the lights on the ship. So maybe in the darkness of being in the middle of the ocean,
Absolutely.
we can look up and see some of the stars with very minimal light pollution. So I'm looking forward to that.
That would be incredible.
I'll let you all know when I get back. And maybe the clouds will part and we'll see something.
Hopefully the clouds will part in New England and we'll finally get to do some observing.
But with that, thank you all for watching. You can find past episodes on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and also read my newsletter, Starry Scoop, on my website and all those sites as well. Thank you again.
That was so